Hi, I'm Kelly, and this is a pregnancy update. So I wanted to update you guys on how things are going, since I know that so many of you were curious and y'all were so thoughtful to ask in the comments. I am now 24 weeks pregnant, and I am super excited because 24 weeks is a big week. It means that we've reached like some degree of viability. I think it's like maybe 60% viability, so that if I had the baby now, then there's at least a 60% chance that it could go to the NICU and it could survive and live, which is huge when you've been through miscarriages. Any little like milestone that you can have like that is like so awesome. So we are really excited. And I thought I'd just update you with how things are going. Things have been going really good, knock on wood. But we were just actually discharged by our maternal fetal medicine doctor, which is kind of like a high-risk OB doctor that takes close care of the baby. And he discharged us because he had been tracking everything on the ultrasounds and looking at like everything with a fine-tooth comb and checking over every possible measurement. And he said that everything looks perfect. Everything looks really great, no problems at all. Our baby was in the 51 percentile for like measurement. So that's like right there in average, not too big, not too small. So that's been really exciting, and like it feels surreal. Like it feels like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe that things are just going well and there's no problem. Like it's such a foreign concept to me, but it's really nice. And we're also seeing the OB. So now like the OB will be the only one that we have to see for the baby and me. And our OB is an awesome OB that I love. And I will tell you that if you have been through miscarriages, then please try to find a doctor that you trust. Try to find an OB that really cares about you and cares about what you've been through. That has made such a huge difference. It feels so good to go through this and to feel like I have a doctor that is on my side, that is taking care of me, that is invested in this baby just like I am. So, and I had to go through a lot of doctors before I found this one. So I will tell you that if you're having trouble, just keep trying other doctors, and you might have to travel a little bit, or you might have to go outside of your normal like hospital that you're used to, but just keep trying until you find somebody that is good for you. So everything has been pretty uneventful and nothing like abnormal has been found so far. I am now still on my Lovenox and my aspirin, and I stopped my progesterone. I stopped that like after the first trimester, and no problems with stopping the progesterone. So the only real thing, like the only sort of update that I can give that's happened, is that we had a scare a week ago, and it really like brought back all kind of emotional stuff and baggage from all the miscarriages. I was 23 weeks, and I had been feeling Braxton Hicks contractions. They had been like getting worse and worse, and then they got to where one day they like woke me up out of sleep at 7 o'clock in the morning. They were feeling so bad, and I was having back pain that was like coming in waves, and it was happening like less than every 5 minutes. It was happening, and so I was really scared that was pre-labor. I was like, oh my God, is this what pre-labor feels like? It was very scary, because it just like immediately my mind went to losing the baby. And I had been doing so good like through the first trimester, and even in the second, I had been doing so good of not worrying and of being more calm and not obsessing over things. But this happening, like feeling this stuff, it was just like, oh my God, no, this doesn't feel normal. I'm afraid. And I immediately went right back into that spot, and it was so scary. And yeah, I mean, it's it's a terrible spot to be in. But I was really afraid, and we went to the hospital to go get checked out. But our hospital, because I told you how I love my doctor, but my doctor is not in my town. We have to drive an hour to get to my doctor. And on the hour, it was like I started out kind of afraid, but still calm and okay. And they were happening like every 5 minutes or a little bit less than 5 minutes. And then in the course of an hour that it took to get to the hospital, they were happening like every 2 minutes. And I had lost my calm just about. Like it was pretty bad. And it wasn't so much that like it was intense pain. Like I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm in this horrible labor pain. It wasn't terrible pain. It was just like it was an uncomfortable pain. I would still describe it as pain, but it wasn't like, you know, on the scale, it wasn't a 10 or a 9 or even an 8. It was like a 6. But the thing was that every time I had this pain, even though it wasn't that bad, every single time I was like, oh my God, am I gonna lose this baby? Am I gonna lose this baby? And so that was the worst part about it. It wasn't the pain, it was the fear that this was preterm labor and I was gonna lose this baby. And so then by the time that we got to the hospital, I was just literally paralyzed by the fear. Like we got out of the car, I had called ahead of time to ask, like, where do we even go? Like, we're only 23 weeks, so we hadn't even done a hospital tour. We didn't even know like what entrance to use or what the procedure was. So I called to ask them, where do we go in for labor and delivery? And they told us, oh, the main entrance, come to the main entrance. So we go to the main entrance, and like I'm expecting that if this is where labor and delivery happens, then there's gonna be like people there and somebody with a wheelchair or something to get me. And I get out of the car and I start to walk towards the door, and then like I have this feeling like it feels like everything inside of me is gonna fall out. Like just fall out, like my bladder and my uterus and my baby. It just feels like it's gonna plop right out of me. And I don't know why it felt that way, but that's how it felt. And so it felt like if I took one more step, it just felt like everything was like super heavy and gonna fall out. So I just couldn't move. So I was just like standing there at the doorway to the hospital, holding my belly hunched over, and just like I couldn't move. And there were people trying to come into the hospital, and I'm like, just go around me. I don't know, I can't move. And my husband went inside to try to get a wheelchair, and inside the hospital was just completely taken aback by this. They like weren't expecting, and maybe we were at the wrong entrance. Like, I don't know. I still don't know where the right entrance is, because this didn't seem to be the labor and delivery entrance, and they didn't have any wheelchairs. They didn't really know what to do with me. And so my husband, being the hero that he is, and he will like always be my hero, is he just like picked me up, grabbed me, and then started running with me. And he was like, where is labor and delivery? And they said, it's on the 2nd floor. And in my mind, I'm like, the 2nd floor? Who in their right mind puts labor and delivery on the 2nd floor? So then we go up the elevator, and then we get off the elevator, and the doors open, and now I'm expecting that, okay, if 2nd floor is labor and delivery, once we get there, then like there's gonna be like a reception area, and there's gonna be people that can help us. Like that's like, as soon as we open the door, it's gonna be fine. There's gonna be people that can help us here. And the doors open for the elevator, and it's like a ghost town on this floor. The lights are dimmed and almost out. There's nobody at reception. I don't even think I saw like a reception desk. There's nothing. There's like chairs, and they're all empty, and there's doors that are shut. And so then the panic escalates and escalates and escalates, because then I'm like, oh my God, are we on the wrong floor? And it's, you know, when you're in this, you're already afraid, and then things just don't appear the way that you expect them. Like things just look so like out of place and odd. Like this is not what I expected. So then it makes the fear multiply quickly. So I guess it was because it was early in the morning and it was a Saturday. Like they hadn't really like gotten up and rolling yet at the hospital, I guess. But luckily there was like somebody that was sitting there waiting for for another patient that said, oh, I've seen people go through this door, and he like pointed out the door that you go to for the labor and delivery ward, I guess. So he pointed to the door, and so my husband carries me to this door, and he's like trying to pull on the door and bang on the door, and then luckily a doctor comes up from behind us like almost immediately, and the doctor is kind of like running towards us, and he's like, and the doctor says, did you call me on the phone? And I'm like, oh yes. So this was the doctor that had called, because when I called to check in to say that I was having this trouble when they told me to come to the hospital, it wasn't actually my OB, it was one of the people in his on-call ring. So this was the doctor that was on call that I had spoke to on the phone, and he's like, were you the person I talked to? And I was like, yes, I'm the person you talked to. And he's like, well, you didn't sound that bad on the phone. And it was like, no, I was fine an hour ago before I had to drive for an hour, and all the fear and all the contractions started to get closer together and all that stuff. So anyways, he checked me out very quickly. Like, they very promptly put me into a room, and nurses were super, super helpful, and the doctor very quickly checked, and I was only a fingertip dilated. And so whenever he told me that, and I asked him, I was like, so it's okay, so like I'm not gonna have the baby right now, right? And he was like, this is okay, I think this is okay. And it was such a relief, and I'm so thankful that it was okay, nothing was wrong. It turns out, like, after doing some tests and checking everything out, because I checked everything really thoroughly and really good, turns out that I was dehydrated, and the dehydration was causing the braxton hicks contractions, and I guess that was making them worse and worse. But yeah, everything was fine. But then the fun doesn't end there, because after I know that everything's fine, and then I'm sitting like in the hospital room, and at this point I'm by myself, just because my husband had to go into work, and he just had to. It wasn't his fault, and he absolutely needed to. But anyway, so I ended up being at the hospital by myself, which I told him I was fine. I really was okay being in the hospital by myself. But it just kind of like, it hit me while I was sitting there by myself, that like I felt so stupid for freaking out and going to the hospital and it being such like a freak out thing, and then it was nothing. So I felt I just felt really dumb. And then I was like, oh my God, my doctor is gonna hate me, because I love my doctor, and I want my doctor to keep me, and I want my doctor to keep being nice to me. And I was so afraid that he was just gonna hate me, because he was like, this is so dumb. This girl just came into the hospital for nothing. So then I had like a nice cry at the hospital because of that. But I am super, super, super lucky, because my husband talked to me about it afterwards, and then even the doctor talked to me about it afterwards. And both of them said things about like how, I've been through a lot with all these miscarriages. And so this is like, it's not that unusual of a reaction. Like, sure, it was an overreaction, okay? To be that afraid of losing the baby and to like freak out that much about going into preterm labor. But it was an overreaction that is justified, because I have reason to believe that bad things have happened with my pregnancies. Like, evidence has shown me that bad things have happened with my pregnancies, and that things turn south, and that crazy stuff happens with my pregnancies. So it wasn't like I was just making up a fear out of nothing. This was a substantiated fear of mine. And so I kind of wanted to share that, just because I thought that maybe that's something that other people who've been through miscarriages, like maybe that's something that we all go through, is this this like sort of tug of like, you feel scared and afraid and you freak out because of something, but then you feel bad for freaking out and for being scared and afraid. Does that make sense? Like sometimes I begin to hate myself or be really mad at myself because I am so fearful, or I'm like mad at myself, like I was mad at myself because I was so sad over all the miscarriages, or I'm mad at myself because I'm so like high with anxiety because of all the miscarriages. Sometimes I just get mad at myself for, honestly, for how I'm handling things, and for can you hear that? I don't know if y'all can hear that. It's my dog. Okay. So, but really, when I think about it, and when I really like look at what it is that I'm mad at, I am mad at myself for how I am coping and getting through this tangled mess, like of what I'm going through. Like I'm mad at myself for how I am, like I want myself to be better at it. It's like I want myself to cry less, and I want myself to be less sad or less anxious or less crazy. And so I get angry with myself for that. And I think that this little episode happening and talking to my husband afterwards, it made me realize that like I am just doing the best that I can with what I've been through and with what I'm going through. I am doing the best that I can. And sometimes the best that I can is a freak out. Sometimes that's what it is. And I mean, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I can be calm and it can be fine. But I can't be mad at myself because this is the best that I can do. And I don't think it's unrealistic that if I've been through things that have been traumatic and that have been super sad, I don't think it's that unrealistic for me to be afraid that it's going to happen again. So, I don't know. I feel like it has, going through it has given me like a little bit more compassion for myself, and I've kind of given myself a little bit of leeway, like it's okay. Yes, we had a freak out. We probably didn't need to have a freak out, but you know, that's what it is. And it's you know, it's not like, I don't want to say it's not my fault, because yes, it is my fault. Like I'm the one that freaked out. Nobody else freaked out. But it is probably an appropriate or a justified reaction to what I've been through in the past, and like just what's happened so far, like the accumulation of everything that's happened so far. Like it's kind of, it makes sense that if something starts to feel strange and it starts to feel like preterm labor, that I'm going to be really afraid that something bad is happening. It makes sense that that's what happened. So I am trying to not be mad at myself for that, and to give myself grace and compassion and be like, that's okay. That's where we are right now. But things worked out and everything's good now. And hopefully next time, if something starts to feel weird, something starts to feel scary, hopefully now I can look back at this and be like, okay, well, this might not be a bad thing. This might just be, you know, something very simple like being dehydrated. Maybe I just need to step back and I need to relax, and maybe this is not the end of the world. Maybe it's not the end of this baby. Maybe I just need to calm down and maybe it'll pass. So that is, I don't know, that's my little story of what has happened to me recently. And I don't know, I hope maybe sharing that I hope maybe it helps somebody else. Or maybe if you're ever feeling mad at yourself or feeling harsh on yourself for how you're reacting or how you're coping, I want to tell you that you are not doing anything wrong, and please don't be mad at yourself, because you were just trying your best, and that is all you can ever ask of yourself. You wouldn't ask anybody, you wouldn't ask more of other people, so you shouldn't ask more of yourself. So that's all of that. Okay, let's be done crying now. But it's happy. I'm happy. Everything's good with the baby still. I'll give you a little, let's see if I can give you a little, whoa, I forgot that, here's a bump update of what my bump is looking like. So everything is good now, for now. So everything is good for now, and I will try to keep you guys updated as things progress. I want to really thank everybody for the comments that have, it's meant a lot to me whenever people congratulate me or say nice things, and I want to tell everybody out there that is still trying and still in the throes of it that I really, really hope you get a miracle rainbow baby of your own. I honestly want this for everybody out there that wants it. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I wish you hope on your journey wherever it may take you.